What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about Totally Killer. So let's slash some stuff. What a big surprise, honestly, from Totally Killer. This takes the whodunit slasher genre and the time travel genre basically back to the future and mixing them both together and creating this, honestly, really great movie. I was not expecting this from it at all. I've heard a couple of different reviews here and there, kind of like just some shorts on YouTube, some things on TikTok, some things scrolling through Instagram, and people have been saying some pretty good positive things about the movie. So I want to definitely check it out and do a review out here for you guys. But before we get started, of course, I'm a little late to the bus. This movie streamed on Prime just last week, last Friday. I finally was able to check it out today, tonight. I just finished watching it right here out of my home at the couch. It's been a long week for me, so bear with me. For anybody that has actually been looking forward to some videos from me, here's a new one, and I hope to get the ball rolling again like I did when I first started. I'm trying to make these videos as much as possible, as quickly as possible for all you guys, trying to get them out as early as possible so you can hear my thoughts before you go check out the movie. But anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into Totally Killer. Now, the positives for me, I love the mix between having, of course, the new age kind of woke kid in a way, and also the not giving an F attitude from the 80s. And having that mixture was like it was a pretty much a comedic relief in between some of the tense moments. Of course, the movie is a kind of more outlandish, a little bit more funny. It does take itself seriously, which I did like. Obviously, throwing in that kind of time travel element is going to have some sort of kind of not super serious aspect to it. But even with that time travel element, it actually uses that time travel element very well, and it explains it very well. It's not like some sort of thing that's just thrown in out the blue and they kind of get shunted out back into the 80s, and that's that. It actually explains it pretty well and tries to be very scientific about it, which was actually kind of nice to see, especially someone that's kind of a nerdy science type of person. I like seeing those kind of details where theories that we hear nowadays are being implemented into movies, and the directors and movie producers are actually doing some research and trying to sound as scientific as possible. Obviously, time travel is not currently real, but they do their best to try to sound as legit as possible, which I really enjoyed. And again, like I said, it's pretty funny for being a slasher, especially with movies like this. You have all these jokes, like I said, with the woke, our age woke kids going back into the 80s. You have a lot of fun things where the girl goes to school and she's trying to make up this elaborate story where she's a foreign exchange student and she needs to join the school. And the desk lady's like, "All right, here's your schedule." And she's like, "You don't need any identity. Like, go to class already." And she's like, "Oh wow, okay." Or when there's a part where she's trying to kind of get home, and this lady, "Oh, come on, let me get you a ride." And she's like, "No, you're a stranger. I can't go in the car with you." But then we also have Uber here in present time, and that's going in with strangers. So I thought it was kind of a double negative there. And then you see her get dropped off, and the mom is smoking in the car, hotboxing the car with two little kids in the back, which of course, even without being a woke person, that's a big no-no for sure. But it's kind of, you have those little kind of things thrown in here and there where, the main character, Jamie, is very new age. And when she sees all these things that were completely different back in the 80s, it's kind of a funny comedic relief. And I like seeing that because it pokes fun at both ends. It's not trying to poke fun at the new age kid, and it also doesn't only poke fun at the kind of 80s kid or 80s era. It does it to everybody, and it does it very well and has really great jokes here and there. Real quick, another joke that was kind of funny was there was a part where the main characters get into a scuffle with the killer, and they kind of draw some blood by punching him. And then once they go to the police station, she's like, "Oh, here, I got evidence. Now we can find who the killer is." And they're like, "We don't have DNA things to put this blood into." So I thought it was kind of funny also. But besides that, those kind of just the jokes you see here and there that were entertaining to see overall. As far for the who done it kind of mystery here, there's two aspects here that I'm kind of mixed on, right? So there's the aspect where it's sort of obvious who it is, and there's a definitive moment within the kind of the third act of the movie where I'm like, I think that's the killer right there. That's the one. and it turns out to be the person, but it's obvious from those little hints, but at the same time it makes it kind of impossible because that character is rarely in the movie. They are not present for 90% of the movie, I'd say, which was, it's frustrating when you're trying to figure out who it is and you have breadcrumbs, the tiniest of breadcrumbs to figure out who the killer is, but it's still kind of obvious at the same time. So it makes it easy and extremely difficult, which is not always fun when you're watching the movie. But I think the reveal was interesting, and then there's a whole kind of twist at the end that makes it more interesting at the end, which I kind of let it all slide, which I'm okay with. But as far as the kills itself, the kills were okay. It was cool seeing this kind of this person, or Jamie, actually the main character, since she knows what's gonna happen, trying to get through all these scenarios before the killer gets there and tries to stop it. But her doing so is switching everything up, so the locations of where the kills are different, and she's running around and stuff like that. So it was pretty interesting there to see that whole time travel aspect of it and how it's switching the timelines and everything. That was pretty cool to see. The kills overall were pretty mediocre. It's, you know, just stabs. Overall, the killer in the movie is called the Sweet 16 Killer, and he gets that kind of title for stabbing kids that are 16 years old and stabbing them only 16 times. So the kills get kind of repetitive. The part that gets more creative is how they try to stop him while they're there and trying to figure out what's his next move and setting up things. That's the more interesting part versus the kills being the interesting part. And like I said, this is kind of a basically Back to the Future carbon copy in a way. You have Jamie going back in time and meeting her parents as their younger self during high school and kind of having a relationship there, trying to have a friendship there without revealing who she is. And that's pretty awesome to see. There's even a part where it kind of basically pokes at Back to the Future, where you have Marty McFly kind of having a sort of relationship with his young mother, and there's a scene where Jamie is at this kind of pool party and a buff guy comes out the pool and she's kind of in awe and then finds out that's her dad. So you have kind of those parallels between those two movies, which is kind of interesting as well. But as far as the actual timeline and time travel was pretty good. Her getting implemented with her younger mother and having that relationship with her and trying to understand where her mother is coming from, because now that she's seen it firsthand what's going on, she kind of understands her mom's paranoia, and she even sees kind of her breakthrough, or I should say her fallout with her mom and grandmother, and trying to persuade her to be a little bit more connected, so hopefully in the future they can all be one big happy family. That's all kind of nice to see. It definitely brings some emotional aspects to it, which I really like to see, having that kind of suspenseful slasher, having the funny jokes and having some emotions. It balances it pretty well, and I definitely kind of like that. Now, going on to the cons for me, as far as the killers go, I think the motivation is definitely reasonable. I see why, but it kind of gets a little far, especially when you get to the twist at the end. Now, I don't want to reveal too much things if you haven't seen it yet, but there's multiple motivations, and one of them is definitely the more reasonable of the two, and the second motivation is kind of just like, okay, I saw that coming, but really, you can't think of anything better, and that's really the only drawback I have between the killer. As far as the actual killer's costume, it's nice, it's cool. You know, the mask is interesting enough. It can be kind of creepy, but it's sort of generic as well. Nothing unique here. I wouldn't say that this is any kind of murder icon. Definitely, it's not going to stack up between a bunch of different other slashers. It's good enough where it's recognizable. All right, and it definitely has, it's the same producer from Happy Death Day. It definitely has that Happy Death Day kind of vibe to it as well, to the killer itself, and as well as the entire film. So it's something that's recognizable enough, but definitely nothing iconic, definitely nothing really memorable in terms of the costume. When you see it, you'll know, oh, that's from Totally Killer, and that's kind of where that line draws. although the time travel was pretty good in the way they explained it, there's certain rules that they kind of put in place at the beginning of the movie that kind of work within this world, and they sort of break it at the end, which is kind of a nitpick thing to kind of, but you have to follow your rules. You set these type of rules in terms of time travel and then break them at the end. Then what's the whole point of the rules? And I get it. Even in the movie, time travel is theoretical, but it gives you an expectation and it kind of throws it out the window with that expectation, which is totally fine. Again, I get it for film's sake and for satisfying ending's sake. I don't mind it, but like I said, it's just a very nitpick thing. But let me know what you guys thought about Totally Killer. I actually really enjoyed it. It was a big surprise for me. I didn't think I was going to like it this much, but I did. So let me know what you guys thought about this movie in the comments down below. I also thought it had a pretty good wrap-up ending in terms of how everything changed within this main character's timeline. And at the end credit scenes, you see kind of little pinpoints of how everything has changed in the future because of her actions. And I had a good time even reading through those things. It was kind of fun. But again, let me guys know what you guys thought about this movie. I really enjoyed it. If you guys like talking about anything, movies, TV shows, or video games related, consider subscribing down below. And I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.